like send over when transfers were still there. We had some amazing streams with you guys where like, oh, I'll send you a comic. And then we just gave it away and sent it to someone else. And then like that last one I did right before they shut down transfers, we had 20 giveaways, 20 comics, because they keep sending me ones to give away on the stream. It was insane. It was like one, remember, I don't know if you remember that one, but I'll never forget it because everybody was giving to give to everyone else, and I was just the middleman, right? And
That's so cool.
yeah,
I remember you needed to drink a lot of water that day. So.
yeah, so here we go.
Yeah.
Next day, they announced transfers are gone. So we ended it on a big high there. But no, it's amazing. And thanks for saying that. I remember that first live stream, and it was just over a year ago now. It was the end of February, and I didn't remember that it was a year. Like I remembered like the amount of live streams because I hit 100 like a couple weeks ago, which is incredible. Like it's insane to me. But the 1 year anniversary of the live stream. So you pointed it out like in the chat too, a week ago or whatever, right? And I remembered back. I actually brought up my first live stream briefly just on the live, right? I think it was number 109 or something, or 10. I was watching the beginning of it. I haven't watched it, right? Because I don't usually go back and watch like all the stuff, like that often. But I went back and watched it, and at first I was just kind of like, oh, And I was like, yeah, I was just testing it out. I remember I wanted to go live because I was watching everybody else do it and having a lot of fun. And I was always in these live streams, like watching Randy and watching, like, of course, like VeVe Vault and all that stuff. And I know at the time, I think Rob's stuff was already doing some lives, and I remember going in there a lot. And I wanted to try my own, just and just to see what it was like. And it was so much fun. And now I always love going. I wish I could go live more. I do about 2 or 3 a week. I wish I could do more, but right? Life. It's like 3 hours usually.
Yeah.
But
Yeah,
that's
and I
talk about, and then it ends up being 3 hours. It's because of everybody in the chat is like talking, and it's there's always something, especially now, there's always something to talk about. So I appreciate you guys always being there. It means a lot.
gears a little bit. We've been talking about the collectibles, but I kind of wanted to talk about you and the man behind the persona Mycollectables. And you don't have to tell us anything personal, but we try to ask the question, if there's anything that you'd like to share with the VeVe fam that doesn't know about you, what is that? Is there anything that you'd like to share with the VeVe fam that they don't know about you?
Well, I don't know.
You have a third leg?
Yeah. No, well, there's not a ton. Like I've been pretty open. My main job is graphic design. That's what I do at my desk. That's what I went to school for, and that's what I've always done. And the toy collecting was like a hobby that I turned into a business in the 2000s. And really, what it was I was working as I'm a graphic designer. I'm a certified designer, and that's my job, right? And I don't talk about it a lot, except for when the logo came out. I kind of flexed a bit because I'm like, this was great branding. And by the way, I used to be the president of the Graphic Designers of Canada. Like I'm fully in, like that's my career. So, what the toy business was funny because, I was always collecting, and the first toys I ever bought were the Simpsons toys in the late 90s because I was looking for a present for a nephew, and I went to Toys R Us, and I hadn't been there since I was a kid. And we still have Toys R Us up here, right, in Canada. So
that's cool.
And Toys R Us was like everywhere. So this is late 90s. And I walked into the store there and I saw the Simpsons on the wall. And I'm not a massive Simpsons show fan. Like I'm not like a diehard, but I love the show like everybody. And I just saw them and I'm like, those look exactly like the show. And I was like, I have to own these. And that was the first toys I bought as an adult, like collector. and I bought The Simpsons. Then I bought some Austin Powers toys because remember those ones came out when the movie came out, and that kind of got me toy collecting. And then eventually I went into the vintage stuff. I was like, I got to get the stuff from when I was a kid now. So then I went into Star Wars and the GI Joes, and then I was buy selling and all that kind of stuff on eBay for years, and it turned into a business. Like I literally was doing so much of it, having so much fun. And so I was working in a graphic design office, in this neighborhood that's in my town, and there's a little shop that closed right below my office store. And I was working for a company. I was like contracted there, and it was a great company, and I still do work for them. But I saw this little shop close. It was a flower shop. It'd been there for like 20 years. And actually 20 years ago, at least like in the late 90s, that little space used to be a little fledgling web design office that I first got my first job at. And
Wow.
design school, and I was in that space, and it was a little design office. It was called Cyberlight, and they were like trying to get web. So we were doing like web design in like the mid to late 90s, and really, really bad stuff. And I was like learning then. And I got a different job and moved over to the bigger city. But 20 years later, I'm above them in this office, at a design shop. And then she closed. I came back from vacation one day. I went a family trip. I came back. I literally was coming to the door and it was empty. And I was like, whoa, it's a tiny little boutique shop in like this old little neighborhood that was like all nicely little shops. I'm like, I want that. I want a toy store. And then I would do my design in there. So I tried to get that space, but I couldn't. It got taken really fast. And so then I talked to the building manager. I'm like, when one comes up, let me know. And one came up down the block from it, and it was a little smaller, about 250 square feet. And so I said, like, okay, I want that. I took it. So I told the people I was working for, I'm opening up a toy store, and like I'll still work with you contract wise. And they're like, yeah, for sure. So I opened up this little toy shop, and I called it Mycollectables with my same logo I use today, because I had that for my online eBay store. Like, so that this name, Mycollectables, is my toy shop name that I've had since 2008 or something. So I didn't create it for the channel or anything like that. And so I opened that little store, and I sat behind my desk as a graphic designer. That was my office, my own business. So I had two businesses in there, and my office I basically monetized into like a little shop. And so I would do my work on my computer at my desk, behind the counter, and then people would come in, and I would buy and sell toys. And then I would go sit down and do my design work. So I had two business licenses out of one space. And my office, because I used to rent office space before that, became free. Like I had a free office. And all my whole goal was if this office would pay for itself, the store, and it wouldn't be a cost, and I could have this fun kind of experience and try it out. Because my main job is graphic design. And it actually grew and grew and grew. And it started to take over my graphic design more, because I was like doing the shop thing and selling online, and it turned into like a whole business. So I had like two. And then COVID all hit and everything like that. And the neighborhood actually went to crap because of drugs and alcohol and crime. It started to go down. It was really sad. So I ended up deciding to move everything from that online, and closed it in mid 2021, and just came back. I still do my design at my desk, the same desk you're looking at me now. But my design business is just online. Like my toy business has just moved to online. So I sell like locally and stuff like that, both. And now I got the YouTube thing going too, which is fun. So that's kind of like the short evolution of my my work career, and how the Mycollectables name came about. Because I already had a YouTube channel, and I wasn't using it for anything other than gaming. I was playing a video game on my phone, and I would share the gameplay on my channel here, like my YouTube channel. And I never spoke or anything, but I was in a Discord group, and I was like playing games all the time, like the Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes game. And I was sharing like battles I would do. So then other people I was with would go, oh, that's how you win that battle. Okay. Because I opened up the YouTube channel for toy collecting. I never made videos. I never had a reason to. But so then when VeVe came along, I had this YouTube channel with all these video game clips, and I was doing all the covers. I was designing. It looked good, right? I had like a decent little amount of following, like a very small following, and in my community. And I was like, I have a channel. I'm going to talk about Spider-Man. So I just went and did a video on Spider-Man, and like in early November, late October, I think. And people actually watch it. Like, I don't know, maybe 200 views. And I was like, wow. It's like, that was fun. I was really embarrassed because my kids, they're on YouTube big time. And I was like, they thought, oh, that was cool, Dad. Do it again. So then I did it again. I talked, and then the golden moments hit. And then after that, it was really fun. I had like lots to talk about. And then the live streaming thing came around in February because I just thought it would be fun to try. I was always on everybody else's live streams. And yeah, it's just growing from there because it's really just the community, like people like yourselves that I met, like awesome people, like you said, Hinano. It's so fun. You meet all these people, and we're not even in the same town. And there's no one in Nanaimo. That's where I live. At least that's the town I'm actually in. There's nobody here that really does VeVe. Although I did bump into someone at the grocery store 2 weeks ago, and they recognized me.
How uncanny!
They're like, "Are you Mycollectables?" I was just like. Time that's ever happened aside from decon, and I was like, "Oh, hey!" And I was like, really embarrassed. As I was holding eggs. She's super cool. Like she said her and like she's a police officer, and half her like co-workers are in VeVe, and I didn't even know.
It's a small world, man. It's a small world.
Yeah.
And the one thing that I love about this, and I talk to people now about it, is I was a collector back in the 80s and 90s. You know, your boutique reminds me of my old comic shop because it was like a boutique with like comics, collectibles, and it was a video store. So you could like, borrow VHS tapes, right? And there was a line to get in there whenever Spawn would drop because that was the only LCS in my region on the island. And so I remember waiting in line, getting in there, looking at all the toys or the VHS tapes, right, to see what was new that came out. And then just waiting and hoping I could get in line to get like Spawn 1 or Spawn 2.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it's very nostalgic.
Yeah. Yeah, I had vintage toys in there, Lego minifigures. If you look at my little wall right there, that's one of the cases that was from the store. I had 6 of those, so 300 Lego minifigures on a wall. And so it's a huge thing I don't ever talk about, but I'm really big into that and, going and searching for all the really key figures and chasing the sets. And people would come in, like Lego people would come in just for the minifigures. And I'd always have the latest ones because the new boxes would come out. And so I'd have people show up and like try to get all the chase ones. And it was like a whole thing. And I had a comic book wall, just cheap $5 popular comics, like all Spider-Mans and stuff like that. But just the cheap ones, all raw copies, nothing expensive. And then all vintage Star Wars, G.I. Joe, Transformers, everything. And then new stuff for kids, like, Pokemon cards. And it was a really fun little shop, just a tiny little shop. It was perfect for me. I didn't need any employees. I just was in there, and it was like 5.5 years or so. And it was super fun. And people have asked if locally, like, are you going to open again? Because it was like a little community, right, that would come down. And I'm like, well, I'm really liking what I'm doing now. I really liked being there, but I'd have to find a good spot. And that neighborhood was the best at the time in this smaller town. And now it's not a very nice neighborhood, sadly, because of social issues. And so see what happens over time. Maybe one day I'll reopen it, but I'm doing fine online. Through COVID, everything went online, like even more. Through Instagram, big time. That's so anyway, yeah. But we all have those. I guess that's some maybe a little bit in there, but people don't know. I told that story a couple times, but I think I added a bit more info there. But it's all an open book. It's all fun to share. Everyone's got the journey, right?
Yeah. And I'm sure I could probably talk your brains off for another hour or two about my journey. But like you said, maybe a part 2 or part 3.
I love part 3. Have you guys on my channel? I can ask you the questions. That's what we want to do.
If you ever want me on, I'd come on anytime, man. For you, I would do it. That's not a problem.
That's awesome. We'll
make it happen.
Yeah, we'll get you both on. It'll be super fun. I don't really have a lot of people on the channel. We usually I just kind of just go, and then we just do lives and we just go. Sometimes people come on. I'll throw the invite out, but usually it's fun. It's so busy in the chat. I'm not really the interview channel. Like there's other people who do that, and I think they do great. I just like to go and have fun and just have these kind of casual conversations,
And that's what it's about. And I'll equate to what VeVe Arcade said before that, it's good that everyone's doing this. It's really good that we have more people coming out creating content because we're creating all these different flavors, as VeVe Arcade said, different facets, and either people may not jive with you, but they'll jive with me, or they'll do it all. You know what I mean? And that's great that we're doing this because we're just getting all these different avenues for people to go down in the VeVe rabbit hole, if you know what I mean.
Well, and how else are we going to learn? Like, if you want to say do your own research, you need to watch people and get their opinions and see what they think, learn from other people. Otherwise, where do you do your research? Everyone's like, do your
You can't find it on Google.
yeah, like what research? The research is watching all the other channels and looking at the chat and seeing what people say when or going on Twitter and going to the spaces and listening to people's opinions about this, that, and the other, and getting that oh, I heard this. Oh, did you hear that? Oh, wow, I thought about that. Oh, that's good. That's doing your own research.
Right.
Watch somebody who makes content, get their opinions, and then decide on your own. I mean, that's why we need more people talking, and that's why we need people, because otherwise you're just in a bubble and you make your choices, and then but you have nobody else to bounce. I mean, you can do this in almost any other space.
Yeah.
The toy space, you have to go to conventions, and like they only happen so often, and there isn't like that same instantaneous, like when a drop comes to VeVe, we can go on, we can get everyone's opinions about it and decide whether or not you want to spend money on it. If you're not like just in love with it, will this one do well? I don't know. Let's find out. Let's see what this person thinks, that person thinks. Let's see what the community thinks. Let's compare it. Someone will compare it to the last time there was a drop like that. Someone else like VeVe Fox will bring up the stats. I mean, like, you'll get like Alex will come on and tell you about like, this is your research.
Yeah.
And
but that's what's nuts. That's what's nuts because, I've been a part of the Tesla community with Tesla stock and the AMC community with AMC stock, but I've never been in a community that's so supportive, that's so informative and very passionate. And you're right. We have all of these people that'll give us all this information and more people giving out information or just seeing the pulse of the community, right? On Twitter. What is people saying? Is there a poll out for this collectible? Is this person not like that? Go read the VeVe feed. Tons of information out there. If you're looking.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you're looking. Exactly.
In a way, we are, we feed off of each other and we are each other's resources.
It's true. Yeah. And, if somebody has a different opinion on something, that's good. That's fine.
Yeah.
It's all good. I'm not going to tear them down about it. It's all good. It's like, yeah, okay. I don't agree. I like it. You don't. That's all good or whatever. But that's why we need it, right? So, yeah.
As long as you're having fun.
I know.
Yeah. Well, Mycollectables, man, it was really good having you on the podcast. I got one more question for you before we go. And like I said, I could talk to you forever. Unfortunately, our time is constrained with you today. If not, I would talk your brains off, man, like we did at Decon.
Yeah, we will again. We'll be the first of many.
First of many, for sure.
Yeah.
Before we get you to go, we just kind of want to ask the simple question we ask everyone before they leave is, we are in a bear market and, there are some FUD going around. And, the negativity is either here or there, depending on who you talk to or what tweet you read. But what drives you to stay here and continue to buy the collectibles? And, what keeps you in VeVe? And a second question on top of that, any message you want to give to the VeVe community before you go?
Yeah, for me, it's simple. I can just see when you see it, okay? When your eyes are open and you see what's going on in the world with the digital space, then you can't unsee it. And so, I'm the classic example of a guy who probably shouldn't be here. I'm a guy who owns a shop, who's into comics and stuff. These are the kind of people who don't, and I have a certain age range too, which, it's pretty hard to convert people like us to get into the space. But once you see it, like, because I think I'm a graphic designer and I'm on my computer a ton and I'm in the digital space a lot already, I think I was lucky enough to be able to see what's going on in the world. And my kids are of a certain age. I can see how they interact with all this kind of stuff. So, to me, it's very simple. Like, the digital age is here. It's coming. It's what we do with our entertainment and how we interact with our stuff and our famous brands that we like, all those kind of comic book characters and superheroes and everything else and movies and media and everything. It's all going digital in a big way because, everyone's walking around with their devices. It's just the way we interact with the world. So it's really easy for me to see collecting in this area. Like, this is collecting digitally is just the way the world's going. And I can see it. So once I've seen it, I can't unsee it. So it's easy for me to go into VeVe and to buy Spider-Man comics or whatever like that, or any other of the kind of platforms that are happening with the ownership of it all. it's a no-brainer. I mean, if you just look at the next generation, it's all demographics. They're all coming up this way. They're all learning this way, and they're gonna go the opposite direction. You know, they'll collect here and then they'll go to the physical store. It's just the other way from where we came, which is going physical, then getting into digital. It's going to go the other way for them, and you can already see it in our community. So for me, it's super simple. It's not even like a question. It's just the way the world's going. Now, I don't know what it's going to end up looking like in the end. And the whole NFT thing for me is not really as much as important. That just means you own it. It's on the blockchain. The technology behind it is pretty simple if you just bring it down to the grassroots level of you just own these things. They belong to you. It's right there on the blockchain. That's all that really means to me with NFTs. And people in the world are starting to figure that out outside of collectibles too. You know, it's just a way to really, you know, solidify ownership and prove and have everything open, right? So to me, it's just a no-brainer what we're doing here. And I mean, it's just a ton of fun. And like everybody who has got a digital device has the opportunity to start collecting online like never before, and then sharing it with everybody, you know, like in no way ever before. And then now maybe to be able to go into a space where we can then interact with people with the stuff that we're doing here and watch movies and get access to this, that, and the other if we own certain things. I mean, all the big companies are going into the space. Warner Brothers with movies and stuff. Marvel, Disney, I mean, like, you know, DreamWorks, like we just got that drop. All this, they're all there. Like they're all going into it. So if anybody has doubts about like this space, these companies don't. They're already investing at a low level here at the bottom. They're building the foundation. And so we're just here at the beginning, so we can just enjoy it. Maybe we can actually get ahead and, you know, maybe we can get some like really valuable collectibles if you're into the value of things. Like from the early days here, before anyone else really knows about it, you got the early access pass type thing. So to me, it's just simple. Like it's not even complicated. Like I'm into collecting. I love all this stuff, but it's the way the world is going. You can fight it if you want, but it's just the wave. It's just what's happening. And it's not going anywhere. It's just going to get more and more and more and more normalized. So that's why I'm in VeVe, you know, because it has all the big brands that I love. And it's easy, you know, but I'm also in other platforms too and exploring other things like the Mona Lisa, like the art stuff, like that's incredible too. That's interesting. And it's just, I'm just keeping my eyes open and seeing what's coming. So, you know, I'd recommend to anybody, if you're here watching the vid, I mean, you're already in the space. And so just try to look at that, try to remember that this is where everything's going and there's going to be hiccups. Like I said earlier, while we were talking, man, they're literally inventing this in front of our face. And so let's see where they take it and let's give them their ideas that we have and try to like push them in the right direction. And these companies, these people, these amazingly brilliant people are going to come up with things that we haven't even thought of. And it's going to, whoa, that's cool. And some of it's going to die and flop, you know, and who knows where we'll be in 10 years from now. But I know I'm going to go along for the whole ride. I'm not going anywhere.
Exciting.
I love your passion.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Yeah.
Love it. You know, one day I hope we have an interview in Hawaii together. You know what I mean? I want to talk with you in person one day at the beach or something, you know? That'd be cool.
We gotta come to your big island.
Yeah. Up in your guys' backyard. That's like when you showed that picture of the backyard, I was like, what was it that came out? Something came out and it was I'm like, this is just your backyard, isn't it? It was like some tropical scene, and it was in VeVe or something. And then I was like, it's your guy.
So, okay, technically, I do not live next to the beach. I live 15 minutes from the beach.
Yeah,
so.
This is just a picture of your yard, isn't it? Thanks, guys.
Man, thanks for coming on.
Awesome.
Like, I always love talking with you, man. Like, talking with all you guys at Decon pretty much inspired this podcast. We literally thought of this when we're sitting at the airport going home wondering, we don't want this to end. D, what do we do? Like, well, let's start a podcast. I'm like, okay, let's do it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's what started this, was Decon, meeting all of you guys there. You know, it was such a good time. And are you going to go back to the next one if they have it?
I'm going to definitely try, because if it's in December, it might be a bit of a problem because we go on Christmas vacations. But yeah, if it's in November, I'll be there. If it's in December, I'll have to look and see, but I definitely will be going to these events. It's just so much fun. That was my first ever one. So I'll definitely, yeah. It's we kind of have to. In the meantime, we'll do this though.
Yeah.
More
Well,
to come.
we're dabbling on maybe coming to Canada in August if they do something.
Yeah.
So my nephew,
Yeah,
he lives in
Toronto.
Canada, so we may come up and check you guys out.
Yeah, with the Toronto, the Fan Expo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's about a 3-hour flight for me. It's Toronto and Vancouver are,
Right.
New York and LA, right?
Okay.
I'm sure that's an 8-hour flight for us, maybe more.
A
So
little bit further. Well, thanks, guys.
My Collectibles, thank you for coming on the podcast, man. It's such a good time with you as always. Do you have any other questions for Aaron before we let him go, D?
Nope, I don't. Yeah, thank you so much. Truly appreciate
Yeah.
Thank you guys too.
it.
Yeah, man. And thank you for the audience for joining us today. My Collectibles is in the house with us. Thank you for coming on. Take care, everyone. Aloha.